Now to the second point. Is there a difference between this and some talk in Buddhist traditions of ultimate reality? And again, the short answer here is no. Okay. In some instances, the Buddhists do indeed talk about an ultimate reality that, for all intents and purposes, minus the name, resembles the way that various schools of Hinduism, especially Advaita Vedanta, talk about the Brahman. Non-dual, beyond description, luminous, all these sorts of things, getting rid of distinctions, you know, beyond name and form, the unconditioned. Are they talking about the same sort of thing? It looks that way. Again, I have said elsewhere that we can't be sure that that's what they mean. We can't be sure they're talking about the same thing, but taken at face value, yes. So there is a lot of similarity. However, is this a necessary conclusion? Some people think yes. Some people think that, especially in the Mahāyāna, all roads lead to Brahman, or an equivocation of the Brahman. So nirvana is effectively absorption into Brahman. I don't think this. I think it is for sure a thread in the Mahāyāna traditions, especially in things like Yogacara and, to some degree, Madhyamaka. Madhyamaka can be interpreted in that way. I think it can also be interpreted this way in the Tibetan traditions, but I don't think it's a necessary conclusion. So I think people like Nagarjuna probably wouldn't have thought about it in this way, and this is my opinion. And I also think that we can read Vasubandhu as not necessarily interpreting it in this way. So I think that whilst, especially the Indian traditions, the Indian Mahāyāna traditions, can sort of lead to the idea of an ultimate reality, non-dual substance, for lack of a better word, that it's not a necessary conclusion. I think you can also avoid it, and it depends on how we interpret people like Nagarjuna, Vasubandhu, Sangha, to lesser extents, Dharmakirti, you know, these sorts of people, Chandrakirti. So you're right in noticing the similarities, because they're definitely there. There's a shared intellectual heritage, and to some degree, this is to be expected. So a wishy-washy answer in some ways. Yes, that stuff is there. No, I don't think it's inevitable. But you will see these sorts of similarities crop up, and you are not somehow daft or silly for thinking that these similarities exist. It's a well-known, well-documented, well-investigated trend. And people like Tom Thielemann, who is a fantastic scholar of all things Buddhological, has said in the past that this sort of absolutist trend is undoubtedly a feature of a lot of Buddhist traditions, and it remains a feature of some Buddhist traditions. But I think he, like me, thinks that it's not a necessary condition of these Buddhist traditions. It's an interpretative choice. So anyway, I hope that answers that question, and thank you for a really good testing question.